My name is Rick Leach. I am the Director of Content Operations at Crowd Content. We help businesses with transactional content needs, as well as more in-depth, scalable content creation solutions that go on for months, years. So both ends of the spectrum, the quick one-off needs, all the way up to hundreds, if not thousands of pieces of content every month. And I'll go ahead and let Claire introduce herself.
Hello. So I am Claire Carlile. I am a local search expert at BrightLocal, which basically means that I get to write lots of content for the Academy and for the blog, and also I present at various conferences. I am also, I have my own small agency, which is Claire Carlile Marketing. I'm a chartered marketer. I'm a faculty member of Local U, and I love local search marketing.
We all love local search marketing. That's how we get business, right? Great. So we're going to have a couple segments on this webinar. For the first bit, Claire and I are just going to chat. We're going to talk about some local SEO strategies, how you can get started with local SEO, how do you measure success, maybe some pitfalls that you might run into and how to address them. And after that, I'm going to give a quick presentation on local SEO, specifically the content that you can use to help boost your local SEO or get it off the ground. There is a chat feature with this webinar, so if you have any questions at all, feel free to pop it in there, and we'll stop what we're doing and we'll answer your question as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we will have a more formal Q&A session right at the end. And yeah, I think we'll be sending out the deck to anybody who needs it. It's just a small one for this. But there are some links to some really useful tools at the end of it, and some information you may find helpful when you get started with your local SEO initiative. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing the screen for now. And we'll just go to me and Claire's faces. So let's kick this off, Claire. Why don't you just fill me in? What's local SEO? From your point of view as a local search expert, if you could sum up local SEO in one sentence or one paragraph, what would that be?
Paragraph. Oh, that's okay. So local search, so local organic search, are the processes by which we gain organic visibility for our businesses, our websites in organic search, and that might be in normally one of two places. So that's securing visibility in the local finder, the map pack, but it's also securing visibility in the local organic results. So it's all those processes, and it's specifically for local businesses.
Any certain kind of local, like, are we talking, plumbers and electricians and roofers? Is there a...
Yeah, well, local search can be anything with an element of localness to it, I guess. So if you are looking for it could be bricks and mortar, so it could be an actual building, something like the things that it could be a shop, it could be I don't know, a salon, a hospital, anything that has a bricks and mortar location obviously needs local search. And then any business that services people in a particular geographic area, so whether they're purely service area business or they're hybrid, then they also need local SEO, because location is a factor when people are making their purchase decisions.
Right. So local SEO doesn't mean I have to physically be in that location, but if my customers are, and they may include that location name in their search, I want to make sure I have content that addresses that.
Yes, for sure.
That's fantastic. Okay. Is there anybody that local SEO really isn't good for? Do you find that larger companies are using local SEO strategies?
I guess if you're a purely online business operating like all over the world, or even in one country or one specific, if you're in one specific area, then local SEO would be relevant for you. But I guess if you're purely online and nothing related to location is important to you, then I guess that you wouldn't need local SEO.
Okay. So let's say my business, you know, I'm heavy in local commercials on cable TV. I'm on the radio. I've got some billboards, but I don't have much of a digital presence. How much am I missing out? Is this just going to supplement my business, you know, or are we talking a major piece of potential clients that are missing from my client base?
So what do you do? What describe to me your offering?
I'm an accountant.
You're an accountant. Hooray. So digital, we're searchers. We search online. If you want to, obviously it's important to not have all of your eggs in one basket. So thinking that you're only ever going to get clients via Google, I mean, that's great when it works, but what if one day we don't have access to those things? So yes, you're going to want to, but there's a place for everything, isn't there? There's a place for offline, there's a place for in-person, there's a place for referrals, networks, all sorts of things. But obviously a very large part of the pie, depending on which, vertical or niche you're in, is going to be online, is going to be search. So yes, you are missing, maybe you've got so many customers you don't want any more. Maybe you don't need to. But yeah, we all know how we are as consumers, how we search. So yeah, if we imagine that journey for anyone that might be a potential customer for us, if they're not using search, then let's not worry about it. But who isn't using search?
I'd have to be pretty old school to not have a digital presence these days. So I guess the real problem could be that I'm just not doing it the right way.
It could be.
I probably have a website, but am I really optimizing for local search? So can you talk to me about maybe what you think are some of the best strategies out there for both getting your local search SEO off the ground, and if you've been doing this a while and maybe you don't think you're getting the results you could be getting, mm-hmm. where maybe did I go wrong? What can I do better?
So local search is interesting, or local SEO is interesting because it's not something that sits separately to SEO. It's like an extra hat that you put on. So with your website that isn't like doing very well for you, we need to look at it also from an SEO point of view. So has your developer no indexed your site? So we need to go through all those normal things like, do I actually have visibility? Am I being crawled? Am I being indexed? So we've got all of those technical parts of the piece that are as relevant to local SEO as they are to anything else. So if everything is working as intended, and you're thinking, I'm not getting enough local customers from my website, there are lots of things that we need to do. Where should we start? Do we want to do on page, off page? Do we want to do Google business profile? What should we talk about?
Tell me about a Google business profile.
Oh, good old Google business profile. So where is your accountancy firm that you are? Where are you?
It's in Tampa, Florida. It's called Acme Accounting Firm.
Okay. All right. So we have to think to ourselves, what are those lovely customers that you're hoping to meet the needs of? What are they searching for? So we have a little look. Accountancy services, that might be your head term, but then maybe you offer, special accountancy services like, let's think of one.
Tax preparation. I do a lot of tax preparation and payroll. That's what most of my clients come to me for.
There you go. So you've got all of these different niche products and services as well. So we have a little look in search from the types of locations that you are hoping to get customers from, wherever that is geographically. Who is appearing in the 3-pack? Where are you appearing in the 3-pack? Do you even have a Google business profile? So these are the questions that we need to think about. First of all is setting up, claiming and getting your listing. And then you've got the optimization of the listing. And then beyond that, you've got to look at, well, who are my competitors? How am I going to build out my Google business profile to give it the best possible chance of ranking? And then that's where we can take it to, obviously, Google business profiles. And people talk about, Google as your new homepage, and how a lot of people can do a lot of things from your Google business profile, but your website itself remains essential in terms of that informs Google about your business. It also is where you sort of, your Google business profile in part inherits the authority of your website. So working on your website, making sure that you're linking to a relevant landing page, especially if you're multi-location, is another element of Google business profile. But I could talk about Google business profile forever because it's one of the things that I'm really into.
What would you say is the most important? I mean, Google business profiles have several features. Obviously there's that just the right off the bat, put in your name, what are your hours, what's your phone number, what's your address, what service area, which is really important. But beyond that, there are some things that you can do that are kind of optional. So, reviews, listing out your services and products, answering Q&As, linking to recent content that you put on your post. What do you, of those, which do you feel are most important?
I think we might come to this in a minute, but when we have a little think about what people within the industry think regarding ranking factors, we know that having a keyword in your business name is a good idea, but is against the terms of service for, if you're sticking additional keywords into your name, then that you shouldn't be doing that. But it just comes in, we've all seen the signs near me, Texas, blah blah, people renaming best auto insurance person in blah 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 blah. So there's all of this stuff to do with renaming a business just to stuff it full of keywords, which is fine, but where is the brand? So I always say to businesses, particularly on setup or early setup, you need to think about ideally having your primary keyword in your business name, accountancy services, tax services, but also be aware that you need some sort of branded modifier in there, whatever it is that makes you unique. But also you need to think in terms of, okay, is this going to limit my growth? Am I always just going to do this one thing? Because in that case, it's not going to make sense. So having a keyword in your business name still gives you a boost in the way that the algorithm works. I think the second thing is proper categorization. So making sure that you are choosing the correct category, primary category, and that you've got the good secondary categories too. They're both really important factors. So you're having all the correct contact details, some consistency of your name, address, and phone number across your citations. But people are saying, citation consistency isn't as important as it used to be. It is important. You don't necessarily need to make sure and trawl through 6 million directory sites, but you do need to make sure that your information is correct and consistent in the places where people are going to find your information. And then apart from all those very, basic things on our business profiles, we need to, UTM tag all of our links that go back to our website so we can see where that traffic is coming from. And then we've got loads of great stuff like having amazing photos, using Google Posts, especially using offer posts. We've got making the most of Q&A. What else is there? Google products, checking on our services regularly, making sure, we've got a nice business description. There's lots of exciting things that we can do there. And one of the things is just make sure that you measure what does what, so you can show, it is worth getting really good photos and adding those, or it is worth doing this, or it is worth adding products. And you can do that.
Making your profile more rich really will help you to get up but from that 7-pack and maybe even into the 3-pack.
Yeah, for sure. But you'll get there by having excellent reviews, and you'll get there by having proper categorization rather than because you've added 40 more photos. So I did leave reviews out. Reviews is super, super, super duper important. So really that's the juice. I mean, obviously you want to do a good job. Yeah, for sure, because reviews, if you look at what people think about how, Google says And he's quite clear in terms of, right, well, these are the 3 factors that we look at, but nobody, is there a secret sauce? It's probably all niche specific, it's probably geographic specific, but reviews are going to be super important, probably to help Google rank businesses, but definitely to help potential customers become customers.
Okay. How about the services and products that you can list out on the business profile? Do those have additional SEO value, or is that just informational?
They have content value. So if services is a bit of a moot point, just in the sense that services only appears as a tab on a mobile. It's not seen on a desktop, and mostly that is scraped poop, let's say, that Google will take from your website. So it's not like nonsense because it's come from somewhere, but it doesn't necessarily always make sense. So I've got a guide to products and services that I wrote on the BrightLocal website, which has got a useful Google sheet where you can keep a record of what you say your services are. So every time Google scrapes loads of nonsense and puts that in instead, you can go in and change it. And with regard to products, definitely, they look great. They can be really, very powerful in the business profile when you add them. So I would recommend, having your primary evergreen products added, UTM tagged up, and then you can measure, whether or not those are referring traffic and whether or not those are referring the type of traffic that converts according to whatever you've got set up in analytics as your goals and your events, or maybe even e-commerce. I've seen products driving e-commerce revenue. So
that's fantastic. So let's say my business profile is rocking. I'm getting traffic. I always show up on the map for the areas I want to show up. I'm happy there, but I'm tanking it when it comes to organic. What are some strategies that I can put in place to help me out there?
So you obviously need to have content somewhere on your website, which is going to be relevant for whatever those search queries that you want to rank for. So give me one of your search queries that you'd really like to rank for, and unfortunately, you're just not getting any visibility for.
Tax preparation in Tampa.
Okay, all right. So you're going to want to go and have a little look at that SERP to see what's there. So are there any features? Are there, like, people also ask boxes? Are there featured snippets? What is Google thinking is probably the intent of that? Because for me, it's someone that knows the location of where they want something, and they already know what they want. So it sounds quite transactional, doesn't it? So I'll probably want to go through to a service level page on your website there. So you need to think about what you would want to see on a service level website, what Google would expect to see on that service level page, on your website. So if you've got all of those things, banging, unique content that is well-researched, answers the questions of the user, has got all the trust signals, all the authority signals, then we need to think about, okay, is it indexed? Is it called an indexed? And then, hey, what's the authority of my website in terms of, am I authoritative in the eyes of Google on this topic, or in this niche, or in this locality? And do I have any links to this actual landing page? So those are the things that you would need to do. Look at your on-page optimization, look at the actual search queries, the topics that you want to get visibility for, and make sure that you've ticked all of the boxes with regard to your on-page optimization. Look at who else is ranking, because if it's only massive aggregator websites, then it might be that you can't compete with them. So instead, you actually just need to pay to appear on them.
Okay. You brought up a good point in what you're saying there about the site authority. So I think a lot of local businesses probably have this problem where they don't have the domain authority that the big national players have, who are targeting local markets. So how can they compete with that?
It all depends on, obviously, when we talk about authority and page authority and domain authority, those are all just sort of made up metrics from third-party tools. But obviously, we know that they represent something, and they represent this sort of concept of like trust and authority of a website, which comes from, you know, being linked to from trustworthy or authoritative websites. So with a local, you know, when we think about link development, link earning, link building, online PR, or whatever we're calling it this week, with local businesses, they can attract links from local websites. So I don't know if you've heard, I mean, a lot of people speak about link earning in local SEO. Greg Gifford is one of those. He gives an excellent presentation in the BrightLocal Academy, which is a free course on link building, link earning for local businesses. So it's definitely worth checking that out. But yeah, smaller businesses can be much more agile in terms of asking for links, earning links, doing stuff in the locality, understanding all of those opportunities that come from leveraging offline relationships and making them online relationships in terms of earning links.
So you'd say there's still value because, you know, when we talk about backlinks, it's more at a global or national level. But is there actual value in building up backlinks within your local area with other businesses? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. That's very interesting. All right. So let's say, you know, tomorrow I start my new upgraded local SEO initiative based on some advice you've given me. And let's fast forward, it's 6 or 12 months from now. How do I measure whether or not it's been successful? I mean, business is good, but I don't know. Is it my billboard? Is it my marquee sign? You know, or is it the SEO strategy that you talked to me about?
Cool. So in terms of like a measurement framework or a measurement portion, it's knowing what is doing what. So rather than just going, I'll try this, and I'll see what sticks, and then we'll see how many leads I get. That when you look at local SEO, there's you know, various sources for us to get measurement data. So there are things like Google business, I nearly said Google My Business profile metrics. Google business profile. What was Insights, which is now called Performance, that is where you can get some key metrics in terms of what is your business profile doing. So some of the really useful metrics there will be stuff like calls. It could be website visits. It could be direction requests. So if you go and have a little look in that dashboard, you can work out what is relevant. So the number of times, I can't even remember what it is, impressions and blah, 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 blah. I don't look at that because that's not doing anything for me. That's
so you're looking at the engagement.
Yeah, I'm looking at what actually comes out of this. So if I'm seeing that my graph is going up and right, I know I'm getting more phone calls from Google My Business. I know I'm getting more driving directions, and I know that I'm getting whatever the other things that you can do direct, and you can see in there bookings. If you've got the availability to run bookings via Google Business Profile, that is another fantastic metric. And I work with a business here who offers bookings through Google Business Profile, and I can't remember if it's with Stripe. Anyway, lots of different integrations. Most of their bookings come via Google, and they get the data there so that you can easily see, wow, this is my revenue via my Google Business Profile, and these are the number of inquiries and bookings that I've had. So we've got that part of it.
You find that's user friendly? You know, me as an accountant?
No, what you really want to do with that is and that's the thing, is it's not easy for like a solo business owner to make sense of all of this. One thing that you could be doing, which you could just go, okay, this is a source of all truth for me, depending on your type of business, you could do something like using call tracking and setting up call tracking, using a specific number just for your Google Business Profile. And you can quickly see, okay, well, I had 10 phone calls, then I had 15, then I had 20. And if you can see it building, then you know that you're getting more visibility.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're seeing it through the eyes of like a solo business owner, it is a bit of a minefield of metrics. If you've got someone looking after it for you, that can put together a dashboard in something like Google Data Studio, they can be pulling in metrics from your website so that we know that the traffic that came from Google Business Profile, we then know what it did on your website and whether or not you got any leads from that.
That makes sense, Claire. So before I move on, at the end of this presentation, I'm going to share a few tools with the audience, one of which is BrightLocal. I'm not going to dive too deep into what it does because I'm not the local search expert for BrightLocal. So could you take a couple minutes and tell the audience how BrightLocal can help them with their local SEO?
Yeah, this is also not something that I often do either. So I tend not to talk about our software, but if you're using, because there's a number of different audiences, it could be, like an individual business owner, it could be a small agency, it could be a larger agency, but it's a great way to prospect leads if you're an agency, because you can do a very quick at a glance analysis of businesses using the software in there. There is rank tracking. There's a brilliant GeoGrid tool for ranking, and that is very, very powerful, especially if you are a solo business. You want to see, right, what is my visibility on a grid going out from where I'm located? So that is absolutely perfect. I don't know do you use anything? Do you use a GeoGrid rank tracking for yourself?
As an accountant, I'm not really an accountant.
For your accountant,
no.
I'll set that up for you. We'll have a little look, see how you're doing in Tampa.
You don't normally give yourself a shameless plug when you're doing the webinars? Come on now.
No, that's what
it's a great tool, and we want the audience to be able to use it.
It is a very great tool. That's not normally my job. So, but I am interestingly going into the office, because I'm in Wales, you see, and BrightLocal is in Brighton, and I'll be in Brighton for a whole week, and it will be the first time that I've met everybody in the team in real life. And so I get to meet the product team, the marketing team, all the different teams, so I can learn more about the product, how it works, all the different applications. So you'll have to get me back after I've done that.
All right, that's fantastic. I'm in Tampa. We're mostly a remote team headquartered out of Victoria. So about a year ago, I made my first trip up there, and what a difference it makes when you get to meet the people you work with face to face. Isn't it?
So I'm really excited to see all the different faces and all the different departments. But yeah, so no, I'm not going to do a hard sell.
All right.
Basically, it's all on. I mean, it is a great all-in-one. Oh, obviously, I've missed one of the most important things that they do, which is actually citation building. Yeah. So, but I'm not going to talk about that either. They do everything that you.
But it's there.
Go and have a look. It's really good.
It's there, so have a look. All right. Before I move on to my presentation, what's ahead? What do I need to worry about as a business owner who relies heavily on local SEO? What's the future hold for me?
Oh, I'll look into my crystal ball and I'll tell SEO is dead. No, it's not really. It's not. It really isn't. I think one of the biggest things is whenever you're looking into the future to make sure that you benchmark where you are now. And I'll come back to that because you need to know how it's performing for you now, and then what could be affecting us in the future that is either going to change consumer demand, the way that people search. We can't look into the future and predict zeitgeist, but what we can do is make sure that we stay on top of changes that are happening within our industry, how people search, new products, new services, new ways of delivering those. If we think about how COVID has essentially pivoted 80% of everything that we experience in terms of product and service delivery. And then not having all of our eggs in Google's basket is always a nice thing to think about.
Interesting. When you joke that SEO is dead, is that a little reference to the last couple of updates?
No, it's a little reference to whenever there is a prediction. So the whole, let's predict what's going to happen in SEO in 2022 or 2023 or 20. It's always like SEO is dead. It's not dead, obviously. It's alive and kicking.
It is. All right. Well, with that, I think we had one quick question before I go on. to my part of the presentation. And hey, guys, I apologize. You know, the last time I did a webinar, my wife came up behind the monitor about halfway into it, and she starts doing this wild dance, pointing, and I could not decipher what she was doing. And she let me know after the call. She's like, "You never look at your camera." And you know, I'd like the rest. I got screens here, and I've got notes, and I'm looking at Claire, who's right here, but my camera's up there. So I keep trying to remember this, to look at the audience. Hi guys. But if you see me looking around, just, you know, she's going to come out and dance again and remind me that I'm staring at something other than the audience. But apologies in advance. We did get a question.
I want to see the dance.
You know what? Next time I will turn if she comes out here and starts dancing, I will pick up this camera and turn it around. And yeah, that'll teach you. We did get a question during our talk. Tanuja, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. For Google Business Profile, about adding additional keywords to your business name, I thought the business name had to be the legal business name. Is that correct?
Yeah, brilliant question. Thank you. Yes, it does need to be the legal business name. So, but because having keywords in your business name does give you a bit of a boost, basically, from a ranking perspective, then a lot of businesses were actually changing up their legal business names to include their primary keywords.
So I should be Acme Accounting in Tampa.
Exactly.
That's my legal business.
No, you should be best tax legal Acme Accounting in Tampa, Florida.
Sneaky,
yeah.
Sneaky. I hope that answers your question, Tanuja. We have another one from Kale or Kaylee. Will there be a recording of this distributed post-webinar? I believe so. We usually send these out to the attendees, so you'll likely get one in the very near future. With that, I'm going to go ahead and start a quick presentation. I will try to get through this as quickly as possible and not spend too much time on anything that we already covered, but I also tend to get a little wordy from time to time. So just tell me to shut up if I start babbling. All right. So let's talk about the actual content when it comes to local SEO. I thought it'd be funny to put up all of these older methods of what you could now refer to as old school local SEO. And a lot of us are still using these methods, and they provide value, but not quite the value that words and images on a screen provide to most local businesses today. So I just want to talk to you real quick about what those content types are and where you should put your focus, particularly if you are either just starting out with your local SEO initiative, or you feel it's not going the way you want it to. We're going to talk about some actual writing tips when it comes to creating SEO and where you should put your focus. So let's start with my definition of local SEO content. And I'm literally going to read from the screen, even though I hate it when people do that. But local SEO content is content created with the purpose of satisfying the search intent for queries entered by potential customers in your service area. Is that a good definition, Claire?
I like it.
Fantastic. And there's generally two ways to rank, and Claire and I really covered this in our discussion, but you've got the map pack and you've got organic. Of course, there's always I'm not going to talk about paid. You can get into paid. You can use a lot of the content that's intended for organic search and get it into your paid program. But for this conversation, not the purpose. So the map pack, it's easy to do. It gets you fast results, and it focuses mostly on the bottom of the funnel. These are people who are ready to buy now or in the very, very near future. That is, in my opinion, the low-hanging fruit when it comes to local SEO if you don't have a Google business profile. And for anyone confused, because we refer to it in two different ways, Google My Business is now Google Business Profiles. So if you're used to hearing, GMB, Google Business Profile is the same exact thing. So anyway, these profiles are easy to do. They target the bottom of the funnel. If you don't have one, you should get one up. That's what'll get you on the map. That's what'll get your profile there and hopefully start driving some traffic to your site. The long-term game is your organic content. This comes with the potential for enormous returns, but it takes time. You're not going to start on an organic strategy tomorrow and start getting results next week. If you want to rank well organically, if you want to get your brand out there, you've got to put the time and effort into your organic ranking. You've got to create a lot of content. You've got to create content that's specifically designed to address the intent of the searcher who put that search term in, and you've got to cover all the stages of the funnel to really make that work. Let's move on. What are the types of local SEO content? Well, your map pack content, that's pretty easy because it's all laid out there for you. Claire went over it. I keep saying it's easy, but she stressed a couple of things that you have to be very careful with. And I think you called it your credentials or your citations. I think further on here, I refer to it as NAP, name, address, phone number, and making sure that that's consistent across lots of any directory you're in and any content you produce, or whether if you've got it in the footer of your page, make sure that is consistent. That'll make it easier for Google to confirm that you're a real business, and I can see your address in different places and it matches up. And if you use West in some places and W period and others to abbreviate it, it can confuse the algorithm when it's trying to determine, is this a business, and is this a business that actually has a reputation in the area? Within those profiles, do create your product pages if you have products. Do engage with your questions and answers. Do go after getting the reviews and getting them on there. Do get images. The more rich you make that profile, the better off you're going to be. But when it comes to content for organic ranking, it kind of runs the gamut. When it comes to local SEO specifically, the big dogs are the location and service. Location specific service or location pages. These are the ones that are tax preparation in Tampa, accounting services in Dunedin, all of the areas that I, as Acme Accounting, service with that location name targeted. Those are your service pages, and you should have one for every area you service. You also have state and regional pages. These are the ones that are meant for companies. Let me give you a couple examples here. If a potential customer of mine might search, let's say, nursing home law in Texas. As an attorney that handles senior living cases, I might be interested in traffic from somebody who searches at the state level. So if my customers could potentially use the state name rather than the city in their search, and I feel that their search intent is relevant to my service, then I'm going to want to have something more broad than the city or area pages. I might want state pages to help bring that traffic in. And beyond those location specific pages, all the content on your site can be considered local SEO content, whether it's FAQs, blogs and articles, guides, how-tos. If you don't have local flavor in them, you should, but they're all a local SEO tool. Everything you write on your site or have written for your site should talk about the locations you're in and should address some form of intent and can be used as local SEO content. So is it worth it? I looked around, I was like, I want to find some kind of statistic that comes with some punch to really drive home the fact that local SEO truly is worth it. And this is what I found. 30% of all mobile searches are related to location. 76% of people who search for something nearby visit a business within a day, and 28% of those searches result in a purchase. If that's not enough to convince you that local SEO is worth it, I don't know what else, but I really enjoyed that, so I figured I'd share it with you. Now let's get into the writing part, and this is what I love. So how do you write content that's for local SEO? And I would say first, with one exception, have a plan. And that exception is your Google business profile. If you don't have one, if you haven't picked up on this yet, once we're done with this webinar, run over, create your Google business profile. You don't need to have a plan for that. Just make sure everything you put in is accurate. And then over time, you can scope it out a little bit more. But when it comes to your organic strategy, you need one. It's time and effort, and it's time and finances, and that's how most people tackle it, either with their time or with their budget. Some degree of each. If you want less time, you need more budget. If you've got enough, if you want to spend less, you've got to have more time, and you don't want to waste either. So if you go into this without a plan, these are the types of these are the keywords I'm going to target. Here's how I'm ideating on these keywords, the topical clusters I'm going to do, or here's how I'm going to attack the location pages by priority, maybe 10 of these a month, 100 of them a month, depending on where you are and how many locations you serve. Here's the type of information I want to have on those pages, creating content briefs and a whole calendar and a plan that'll get you through the first month, the first 6 months, the first year. What you don't want to do is just sit down and start writing. It's generally, you might have some luck, but generally be a waste of your time or your money. So get with a professional if you don't have the time to invest in learning the tools, because there are plenty of tools out there that can help you learn how to do this, how to come up with keywords that you should be targeting, what the intent tied to those keywords is likely to be, guides on how to create the specific type of content to address that intent. Like, you can do it all yourself, but it takes time. So if you don't have that time, get with a professional, come up with that strategy. The second point, as well as the 8th, 9th, and 10th point on this list, is to write to intent. There is nothing more important than this. And every update that Google comes out with only supports this more and more. It is about the searcher and what the searcher wants. It's not at all about what we want as businesses. The only way to get what you want as a business is to provide the searcher with what they want. If you are targeting, if I do a search on Google and I see the top 10 results are how-to guides for whatever my search term was, every single one, how to do it, and how to do it in 7 steps, how to build a deck, how to build a deck in 2 days. Everything is a how-to. And I go creating a page targeting this keyword with why you should hire my deck builders to build your deck. I'm not going to rank, because I'm not writing to what Google feels the intent behind that search term is, whatever that search term was that brought up a bunch of how-tos. So that's a quick and dirty way you can go and find out what the intent, or what Google thinks the intent behind any keyword is. Just go and search it, see the types of content you'll get. You will see patterns. It's often the same type of content each time, because they feel this is what satisfies searchers who enter this query. So you need to write to that. Always write to whatever you think your customer truly wants out of the search. If it's how to do it, tell them how to do it. That's your really top of the funnel. We can't just always write to bottom of the funnel, or the funnel will run dry. So I can't stress it enough. Always write to intent, find out what that intent is, and then create a plan to satisfy it. Don't skip leg day, right? Write content for every phase of the funnel. I already said that, so I won't dig too much into it, but if you don't know much about the buyer's journey, take some time, read about it. The funnel, read about it, learn what it is, learn what those different stages are, and what people in those phases in their journey are looking for, and make sure you have content that addresses it. Make sure it has local flavor in it so that it comes up on local searches. What's next here? Localize your content, but don't overstuff it with the same. SEO is dead. More and more we find that content that's written to keywords. If I am a cake decorator in Tampa and my landing page says cake decorator in Tampa 18 times, that's not going to help you. Google's giant robot brain is much smarter than this now. You don't actually need an exact match keyword to rank for a keyword. It will look at it contextually. I can say once or twice that I'm in Tampa in any different type of context, and it's going to count. So don't overuse the keywords. Use them, get them in, but don't stuff them. But when you do localize, make sure you're mentioning landmarks. Give it, I call it the local flavor. Sprinkle that in there. You'll see it on most location pages. You may see references to landmarks, popular highways, anything that says, yeah, I know the area you're in. And that helps build trust with your reader, but it also signals to Google that I truly am in this area. This is part of my service area. Look, I know it. I'm talking about the restaurants and the parks and surrounding towns and cities. All of that signals Google that, yeah, this person is in Tampa. We can display this result. Links, and this covers both internal and external links. So don't overdo it with the external links. They're important. Generally speaking, you want to only use high authority links that back up claims and statistics. Otherwise, there's really no reason to send anybody away from your page. But if you happen to make a claim or cite a statistic as part of a study, kind of like what I did on this tab here, if I was referencing this in my article about how to rank locally, I'm going to link to the source that I got it from. But beyond that, I'm not going to do a whole lot with external links. But internally, they're very important. You want to make sure that when you're building your content, it becomes part of the web of your entire website. And you have to understand that anybody in that content is in some phase of the buyer's journey, right? They need a way to move forward in that journey, a way to move forward within the same phase of that journey, and possibly, if they landed on a page that's not quite what they wanted, a way to move back in the funnel or in that journey, so that they don't bounce off the page, because nobody wants a bounce. But make sure your internal link structure addresses that. Are you naturally nurturing them through the journey and letting them go in whichever direction they feel they need to go in? Your navigational links will help with this, but ideally you're going to want to get them into the content themselves. So build every piece should have at least several internal links into it that help that buyer or visitor continue their journey. What's next? Don't ignore the details. Your metadata, that's important. Image tags, important. Just the fact that you have images is important, or any type of rich content. Embed some videos, put in an infographic. But if you do have an image, make sure it's tagged. Use schema markup. I'm not going to get too much into what that is. It gets a little complicated. But if you don't know, do a search. It's a tagging system within the HTML that helps Google's site crawlers identify, what this is about. What is this part of your page here? And it can really help with your ranking. So if you're not aware of what schema markup is, do a quick search and learn about it. I already talked about NAP. Make sure you're consistent with with how you write out your address, your business name, and your phone number. Duplicate content. This normally goes without saying, but I wanted to put this on here specifically for local SEO because I see it all the time with location pages. These often turn into huge projects. Some companies are creating literally thousands of location pages, and they want to take a shortcut and they boilerplate. I'm working with, we hope to land, but we're talking to a large national brand that has thousands of city-specific location pages, and they are every search they show up near the bottom of page one. They're still page one, but near the bottom, all their competitors above them, and it's because they used duplicate boilerplated content that just plug in the city name and a couple other variables, and bam, here it is. But otherwise, they all read the same, and it's killing them in the search results. They've got thousands of them to get corrected. So don't always make sure they're going to read the same. They're going to have the same messaging. They're going to have the same structure, but they should be unique each time, just the way they're written. That's fine that they're repetitive, but they should not be copies. Oh, hey, look at that. We already talked about 8, 9, and 10. Right to intent. Always. I can't stress it enough. I'm going to move on. See, I'm babbling. I do this, Claire, on these webinars. I just start babbling. Okay. Which types of contents can amplify SEO? I think we've really covered this well enough in our conversation, like 3 times now. So get your Google business profile up, get granular with your city specific. Maybe I didn't touch on this enough, but you know, maybe you serve the Chicago metro area, but you probably know then that that area is made up of like literally several hundred small areas, towns, cities. And your customers in those small areas, towns, and cities aren't searching for accountant in Chicago, they're searching for accountant in whatever their area, small town or city is. So you need a corresponding page for each one of those to get the most out of your local SEO efforts. So get as granular as your clients will search for your business. You should have a page that matches. And we talked about creating content for each of the funnel stages. Great, we're to the tool part. So I've just listed, we'll send this out. There's some tools on here for those of you who are self-starters and want to tackle this yourself. First, there's a poorly underlined link. I apologize for the formatting here. But here's how you can set up your Google business profile. There's a link to Claire's BrightLocal tool. If you plan on writing yourself, I fully encourage it, but quality does count here. So take a peek at Grammarly to help you clean it up. And there are tools like Ink, ClearScope, and MarketMuse that can help you optimize your content to whatever keyword you are targeting. They'll give you some topical recommendations by basically scraping other high-ranking sites that are also targeting that keyword and let you look, all right, here's what they're talking about. I need to do just as well or even better in this stuff. So those tools are good for that, to make sure that you have an actual optimized piece of content. And last but not least, it's my shameless plug. So if your local SEO needs help, you don't have time to write, you don't want to write, there's way too much to do, give us a call at Crowd Content and we are happy to help you out with that.